With Donald Trump not mentioning Bitcoin in his speeches yesterday, many are now calling Donald Trump Donald dumb. But are Moon Boys absolutely cooked and Bitcoin now guaranteed to go below $0 per coin? Or is this actually the most bullish thing you've ever seen? So if you're not scared, but in fact extremely ready for the biggest pump since the beginning of Moonboy kind, hit that like and subscribe, and get signed up with Femex or BITUNIX below if you want to buy Bitcoin, altcoins, or trade. And without any further magoo, let's absolutely dump into Bitcoin today. Massive news I want to look at first to start off this video. We see that MicroStrategy acquiring 11,000 Bitcoin for about $1.1 billion at $101,000 per Bitcoin, and has achieved Bitcoin yield of 1.69 percent year to date as of 2025. MicroStrategy doing what it always does and buying more Bitcoin. And as well, we see that breaking, Elon Musk actually confirmed on X that Ross will be freed. I think this is big. It did not happen on day one, although technically, is today day one or was yesterday day one? I would assume yesterday was day one, but it wasn't a full day and the stock market was closed. So let's have a little copium and say that today is day one. And let's jump into some other massive things here. We see the Bank of America CEO says the banking industry will embrace crypto for payments if regulators allow it. And keep in mind who the regulators are now. Pretty pro Bitcoin. We also see MicroStrategy shareholders approved increasing the total number of shares from 330 million to 10.3 billion, paving the way for future fundraising to acquire more Bitcoin. It came in at almost about a 56% approval. That's pretty big. And we see, let's talk about this topic. The Bitcoin Strategic Reserve needs buy-in from Congress and the House. Issue an executive order on Inauguration Day is the blunt way to execute this. The smart way is to assess the likelihood of success before pushing the go button. That is Willy Woo's guess on the Strategic Reserve. Now, a lot of people are getting their panties in a bunch because Donald Trump didn't mention Bitcoin yesterday on the day of his inauguration, where many people were hoping and expecting that we would see Donald Trump get on national TV and say, Bitcoin is going to the moon, and the price of Bitcoin, everyone was expecting to see a $120,000, $130,000, $140,000 price of Bitcoin in a single day, right? In a single daily candle, 15,000, maybe 20,000. And here's the thing. The price of Bitcoin right now is above 100,000. Actually is like pretty close to all-time highs. It didn't really dump on any news. In fact, I'm looking at the side of my screen right here, and actually, as of right now at least, every altcoin that I'm looking at is up, including Bitcoin. So Bitcoin and altcoins are up right now. But people are more so just, I think, a little upset that we didn't get a day one strategic reserve. Now, you might be asking yourself, why didn't we? Are we going to? Or is this all a bunch of baloney? Well, one of the reasons I brought up at the very beginning the Ross thing is because that was a promise or a campaign promise that Donald Trump had made about freeing Ross. And Elon Musk himself commented on yesterday, basically saying, yeah, I mean, Ross is going to be freed. And so let's see what happens. It is Tuesday. It is Donald Trump. At the time of recording this, Donald Trump has not even been president for 24 hours yet. By the time you're watching this video, it'll probably be right around 24 hours since Trump was inaugurated. So let's see what happens. He's still signing executive orders. There's a lot of stuff going on. But the bigger picture here is that let's actually say worst case scenario. Let's say we were lied to. Let's say we were dumped on. Let's say that we don't get a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Let's say, what are some other bearish things that we could, I'm trying to paint the worst case scenario. What else would have to happen? Let's say Ross doesn't get freed or something. Let's say that we don't get a reserve. And well, again, another thing was that Donald Trump's, his company bought like $47 million worth of like wrapped Bitcoin and a lot of cryptos because he's the 47th president. So it was like a gesture of whatever. The point is still, this administration is extremely pro-crypto. The new head of the SEC, literally like every position is filled with pro-Bitcoin people. Donald Trump actually has a massive amount of his net worth invested in cryptocurrencies now. JD Vance, the vice president, is pro-Bitcoin. He owns Bitcoin. A lot of people are pro-Bitcoin. So I personally think there will be a Bitcoin strategic reserve. But I'm just trying to say that even if, let's say the worst case scenario and we don't get a Bitcoin strategic reserve, it is still the most pro crypto and pro technology administration we've ever had in the US by far. And that is, in my opinion, why not only is the price not dumping, it's actually even up right now, even with no mention of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So I actually want to talk more about that, but I want to actually go over a few key points here before we do that. Mainly, if we take a look here, Bitcoiners proved on Trump's first day they don't have a low time preference. They don't understand that they are not priority number one. Basically, again, give it at least, let's say at least a week, because I'm interested. I'm actually curious why. Is there any strategy maybe between giving Trump more than a day to mention this? Is it possible that maybe his people are getting in and figuring out the dynamics, maybe buying some crypto, setting up some infrastructure, getting some maybe cheaper? I mean, honestly, you would have expected the price to dump a lot with him not mentioning a Bitcoin strategic reserve on day one. But not only did we not dump, we're actually up right now. So is there any benefits to not mentioning a strategic reserve on day one? Maybe he wants to keep the price low for a day or so, a couple weeks or something, so they can buy in and actually add to their reserves. Because objectively, if you want to buy a lot of something, especially a $100,000 product, and many of that product, meaning Bitcoin, then ideally you'd want to pay less for it than more for it, right? So again, it's just speculation, but at the same time, again, I think a lot of people are freaking out. But at the same time, I can be honest as well. Would I prefer if Donald Trump would have gotten on TV and the very first thing he said was make Bitcoin great again or something? Of course. If Donald Trump got on and he put on a Bitcoin hat or something, that would be my preferred scenario. If he just talked about Bitcoin the entire day yesterday, of course, that's what I would have preferred. But let's be honest, that's not super realistic. And so I think it's kind of crazy that sentiment is so bad right now. And actually, I want to look at a few things about that. The total crypto market capitalization consolidating above previous all-time highs just took out the lows as well. This is not what a cycle top looks like. If we look at this chart, this is not what it looks like. And Bitcoin has spent the last 7.5 years trading inside of this channel. Crosses of the mid-level have always resulted in tests of the channel extremes. Will this time be any different? We see here, last time we were at the middle, we went to the extreme at the bottom. Middle, extreme, middle, extreme, middle, extreme. We're in the middle. And it looks like it's pointing up. Remember, it kind of just continues the momentum when it goes in the middle of the channel, meaning you can see it was clearly on an uptrend here, and then when it touched the middle, it went up. It was clearly on a downtrend here, so it went down. Clearly an uptrend here, up. Clearly a downtrend here. Clearly an uptrend here. So this is not simple, it is simple. It's not complicated stuff. Just every time it kind of contacts this channel, the middle of this channel, we see the extreme of the direction that it was going prior, meaning likely to go up. And the channel extreme of this would be all the way up here around maybe 300 or so thousand US dollars per Bitcoin. That would be interesting. We also see this Rex filing for a Doge ETF as well as a Trump ETF. Man, I mean, I'll be honest, this is the first thing I'll say that I don't necessarily see the point of. But here's the thing. We have a completely new administration in office. We probably will get a Dogecoin ETF, maybe a Trump ETF, a Trump coin ETF, maybe a Bonk ETF, Solana, Ethereum. I mean, you already have Ethereum, but XRP. We probably will get these ETFs. And that's the thing, because even though we didn't get a Bitcoin strategic reserve within the first 10 seconds of Donald Trump's presidency, the administration is still overwhelmingly pro-crypto. And we are probably going to see full-on, absolute, straight-up legalization of all crypto-related products. For better or for worse. We are probably going to be seeing, well, we've never seen anything like this, first of all, so it's going to be completely banana mode. But keep that in mind. Whether or not you think this is good or bad, which I don't necessarily think we should have a Trump ETF. Why would we? But we probably will get one, which is the craziest thing. We see that Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, was live on Squawk Box earlier saying he thinks over time we'll see Bitcoin get into the millions, multiple millions, and it's going to be a new gold standard. True, I agree. And we see that a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the USA would mean the rest of the G20 would follow. Bitcoin could be the new gold standard. That's exactly the point, is that seconds after Donald Trump, if he announces a Bitcoin strategic reserve, seconds after he does that, there are going to be dozens of other countries on the planet considering. I mean, a lot of them already are considering, but maybe being very serious about doing the same thing and trying to buy it before it's way more expensive. And you have to think about that for a second. Maybe the Trump administration is factoring that in before they go on with an announcement. Maybe yesterday was just a pretty big day, and maybe they just didn't want to just immediately say, hey, by the way, we're going to start buying a lot of Bitcoin. Maybe there's some strategy behind it. Again, I don't know. I'm just speculating, but all I'm saying is maybe they have some strategy behind it. It's possible. That would be the smart thing to do. We also see here, Jill on X, same stuff, different year. Not even funny with how similar these structures look. Send it to new highs. Yeah, this cycle it looks fantastic. This is the most bullish part of a cycle. And so if you're panicking right now because we didn't get a Bitcoin strategic reserve on day one, but we still have an extremely pro-crypto administration in the US that is still likely to issue a Bitcoin strategic reserve, I don't know, man. You can be bearish here. I'm not saying it's wrong to be bearish. I just think, actually, I guess I kind of am saying it. It's kind of silly to be bearish. Actually, you know what? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's silly to be bearish here. Why? Why would you be bearish? This administration has only shown how pro-crypto it is. And looking at the price of Bitcoin, even still seems to reflect that ideology. It seems to reflect that fact as well. This market is not giga dumping. You can see if we look on a daily chart, the market hit a new all-time high yesterday. For no reason. It hit a new all-time high because it was Trump's first day in office. But then you can see it's still closed green, and now today we're up a little bit. The point is, actually, what you can gather from this chart, actually, is that if we get a Bitcoin strategic reserve, we're going to see a lot of this. We're going to see massive pumping. We hit a new all-time high yesterday without the announcement of a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but just the fact that some people thought we might get one. If we actually get the announcement, this chart's going to look bananas. I mean, we're going to see this thing. This chart is going to look like, this is just my opinion, but I think we're going to see the biggest single daily candle we've ever seen for the price of Bitcoin. That's what I believe. If we get a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and I'm excited. We're on the daily chart. We're getting a bullish cross right now with the 21-day moving average moving back up above the 50-day moving average. Momentum on the short term seems pretty good. The weekly as well for Bitcoin looks extremely fantastic. It looks really healthy. We're not even anywhere close to being overbought on the RSI, on the weekly chart. We got a dump over the last few weeks, and we didn't even get anywhere near the 21-week moving average, which currently sits at about 83,000 US dollars. And the more we pump, the higher this moving average goes up. We have such a bullish environment here right now. It's so hard to see why anyone could be bearish. The stock market as well. S&P, for example, is up today. Looks pretty good. The NASDAQ is up today. The Dow Jones is up today. I think the economy and the markets are excited for this less regulation presidency administration. Look what happened to the US dollar. Started actually a nice little dump. As we've been talking about for weeks, once Trump takes office, it's likely the US dollar just starts collapsing. Well, again, we have so little data, and that's why I don't think it's smart to be panicking right now about the Bitcoin strategic reserve not getting announced immediately. We have so little data. But look at this little data we do have. It's indicating, hey, maybe we're actually going to start trending down on the DXY, which would pump Bitcoin, which would pump risk on assets, which would pump the S&P, for example. So I'm extremely bullish. I actually, I would love to buy more Bitcoin because, again, I have to keep clarifying this. People keep asking, I thought you already are fully invested in the market. How can you buy more? Like I keep saying, I have income, right? I'm a human being that has income, an income stream. So what that means is I get new money, and then that means I have more money to buy. So my point is I'm planning on, actually I was saving a nice chunk if we actually got a big crash, if the Bitcoin strategic reserve didn't get announced, and it didn't get announced. And I was thinking if it didn't get announced, we get a really big dump, and we didn't. So that USDT that I was waiting to deploy on a Bitcoin strategic reserve non-announcement dump, I was going to put in. But as I said, we didn't get a dump. So I still have that USDT. I'm waiting for a bigger dump. Do I think we'll get it? I don't know. Maybe I'll end up putting that USDT into the market when Bitcoin's 130,000 US dollars per coin, meaning we don't get a dump and we keep going up. and then I just buy in higher, then hey, that's fine. I mean, the rest of my portfolio will be giga massive by that point anyway. But overall, yeah, looks really good. I'm bullish. I'm extremely bullish. And get signed up with Femex or BITUNIX below if you want to buy Bitcoin, altcoins, or trade. And without any further ado,